So my day job was a little demanding this week. It prevented me from spending as much time animating as I wanted to, but I did actually get a jump into Adobe Animate this week, and I came up with what I think is a pretty slick animation. The only problem? I forgot to hit record. Come along, let's take a look. So even though I didn't get a lot of animating done this week, on my lunch breaks I've been reading the Animator Survival Kit. Great book. Spent time reading the section on dope sheets, timing sheets. The principles that he's outlining are more for traditional 2D animation. In modern times, honestly, most of us are using a computer. I don't intend on doing any drawing on cells, but the principle is still sound. And I think a lot of what I've read about it can actually have practical application in modern animation. It is just incredibly interesting to me. I very much enjoy reading about it. Going beyond the timing and the timing sheets, just listening to what all the old guys used to use, he moved on into walk cycles. And what I thought would be a pretty straightforward thing is actually quite complex, and it's fascinating reading all the theories that go into variations of how the walk cycle works. Something that I was actually extremely nervous about starting. It is very necessary for animation, but still I was a little nervous for it. But reading everything about it has definitely got my creative juices flowing, and I will certainly be jumping into that very soon. I also have continued on with just my developing my drawing skills. Continuation from last week, I've spent time every day just doing geometric shapes. Again, I am just trying to get my brain and my hand used to working with each other drawing. I can tell you right now that the tactile feel of a sketchbook is just much more comfortable to me. The pencil on the paper, it just feels more natural to me. Second to that is my Wacom tablet, probably because I used to use it extensively in Photoshop. I eventually did break away from that, but I think there's still some recognition in my brain for it, and it does have a more of a scratchy feel, more reminiscent of the pencil on the paper. More than anything, though, this week I have spent most of my time using my stylus pen on my laptop screen. It's a 360 laptop, so I can turn it into a slate. It is just very different, and my brain is having a hard time with it. I just don't have that feel for it. The pressure you get with the Wacom tablet or a pencil in the paper is just not there in it. With the stylus going across the screen, it's extremely smooth. It's taken me some time getting used to that. I'm adapting fairly well. Using the application Krita, it's got a lot of different applications. It is strange brushing on and looking at watercolor or oils, the effect anyways, which is the stylus pen on that smooth surface. You just don't get the feel that you do with actual physical media or materials, but still the ideas and the principles that I'm learning I think are going to be quite sound, and I believe that I can probably use a lot of the tools inside of Krita and use those for backgrounds and future animations. So while I didn't actually save any of them that I could show you this week, honestly just doing a lot of quick sketches. Again, mostly primary shapes, doing some shading with it, much like I showed you last week. But just hitting it while I'm watching TV with my family in the evenings and relaxing, just doing quick sketches, deleting it and starting over again is just a repetitive thing, just going over and over and over again. So it's been a lot of fun. It seems kind of boring, but it is it's like a musician playing scales. It may not be the most creative thing in the world, but it's necessary, and it just keeps you rolling along and helps you develop your base skills. So I don't feel bad about it, but I am getting the creative juices are flowing, and I'm getting that desire to actually start doing some real drawings, some real animation. So we'll see what comes up next. So That said, I actually did get to open up and play with Adobe Animate this week, which I said I wanted to do. Um, had a lot of fun. I wanted to do a simple project, and I thought about taking the Kudu animation or the Kudu cartoon logo, the antelope or the kudu in front of the setting sun, and animate that. And so I brought all the components into it, various layers inside of Adobe Animate, and the idea is just to have the sun set down behind the kudu. Um, some of the challenges I got into it. You know what? Let me show you. I'm just gonna go ahead and loop this video and let you see what it is. And while it's looping, let me describe to you. Um, the critical thing I wanted was try to keep the sun as it was setting going from a full yellow like the sun does. As it gets closer to the horizon, you get more of the oranges and the reds in there. My initial step was I was trying to animate the gradient inside of a moving ball. Quickly realized that that was not working for me. Realized that a very simple solution was to make a background layer that was the gradient exactly like I wanted it, with a lot of yellow then going into oranges and red to the horizon, and then taking a large black box and putting it over it, and I cut a circle at the size of the sun, and I was able to just move that up or down, and it gave the effect of the sun setting while the gradient was exactly like I wanted it where I wanted it. I put a black box in the front so that as the sun went down, there was a nice horizon line, dropped the silhouette of the kudu in, and was able to then just slowly bring the sun from the top down, and it looked like it was setting behind the horizon, and the gradient went from the bright yellow down into the orange and then the red and fading into black along the horizon. Ended up working exactly like I wanted it. I was very happy with the result. Decided to go ahead and put the kudu animation text under it, and instead of just having it there, mostly just for practice, I faded it in from black into the red text at the bottom of it. Um, After I got the setting sun, I thought it looked more or less like I envisioned it. I thought about the relationship of setting sun being an ending for something versus a rising sun, so I decided to do the sun rising from the bottom up behind the kudu. I'll post that here for you so you can take a look at that. It worked out exactly like I thought it would. The result was fairly clean. If you remember back from my second, I think, episode when I was doing the branding, one of the options I also did for the logo was to use cool colors so it looked more like a night scene or a silhouette in front of a moon. So I ended up making a duplicate of the gradient object, and I changed it to whites and light blues to emulate the moon, and I went ahead and did a setting moon and a rising moon behind it. I thought the result was pretty impressive. It gives you the option of a nice that nice warm sunset or a nice cool moon. My ideas behind this is that I could use these, like when you watch a movie, for any studio that does it, they have their studio logo on it instead of just having a static logo. I thought it would be a good idea to have a animated logo. Eventually, I would like to do it and get the kudu head to move as well, but for this initial first step, I was extremely happy with the result for it. It was right about the time I saved the rising moon that I realized I forgot to hit record. I can attribute this to basically I was just in the zone. I was having a good time. I was enjoying what I was doing. I will just take this as a learning experience. I'm not going to look at this as a negative. I had fun. I did achieve the objective I wanted to, so I'm taking this as a victory. The bad thing was I actually had wanted to show you guys the process of how I work through everything rather than just explaining it. But I'm going to take this as a victory. I did enjoy it, and I think the results are pretty impressive. So at this point in time, I think that now that I've kind of gotten used to the software, I am still not 100% comfortable with it, but I have a kind of a grasp on the basics. And after reading about walk cycles, I think I'm going to try to do some simple walk cycles. I'm not going to do a full character. I think I'm just going to kind of do a blob or some body and feet shapes and just get used to the process of figuring out how to make things look like they're walking properly or as an animation. I guess if you make the walk cycle look too real, it doesn't actually look real. So we're going to work with it. I'm going to see what I can come up with. I think it'll be fun. I will do my best to try to record it this time so I can show you. So there you have it. I created what I think is a pretty slick logo, and I forgot to hit record on it. Just out of curiosity, have any of you guys ever done any numbskull move like that? If you have, share it with us. I'd love to hear about it. Not as a bad thing, just it's one of those things in life. It'd be interesting to hear if anybody else has done anything crazy like that. That said, if you've enjoyed what you watched and you want to see what happens next in my journey, go ahead and click that subscribe button so that you can see what happens in the next episode. Until next time, I'll see you later.